We're live.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Tea Talk with Gina and MJ. We're so excited you are here.
Absolutely. And today is going to be, I say fairly simple, but is there anything simple about any of these herbs? We think they're simple, but these are actually amazing, complex plants, plant life,
Mm,
plant matter, magic. That's all we can call it.
absolutely.
And today
Absolutely.
we're talking about sage,
Which is the
but
most
sage,
amazing herb.
and that's the other thing too. There's so many different varieties of sage. Let me get all my notes here. When you come on a live stream and you think you're prepared and your notes are sitting there folded. All right, so before we get started, since we are talking about sage, let's do some smudging, which we've already started, MJ. Way ahead of me.
Yes, yes. I mean, that's the first way when you want to, that's the first way to start. Before you wait, as you wake up, I start my day. And this is a ritual. I sage in the morning, I sage in the afternoon, and I sage at night. There is not a moment in my life that I will not light some sage up. And if I'm in a spot where I can't burn it, I got it in spray form. But there is nothing why you should not have this amazing herb in your pocketbook, in your car, in your bathroom, in your
In your
kitchen,
garden.
in your garden. It should be everywhere. When I'm telling you, this one should be everywhere. Look how
And this
beautiful
is
that one is.
very easy. The one that, okay, so since we're talking about this, the one that MJ is burning is white sage, which
Right,
is sage, Salvia apiana. The
right,
one that I am holding is what we call garden sage or common sage, and this is Salvia officinalis. Now, there's supposed to be like over 900 different species of sage, and I'm going to go into a few of them later on, but the two that we're going to focus on are the Salvia apiana, or the white sage that MJ is burning, and the one that I'm holding, which is Salvia officinalis, which is the common garden
See,
sage.
and so she's holding it up and I'm holding it up. I just want you to say, just so we start, and I know we go this, she's holding up the masculine side, and I'm holding up the feminine, because this white sage is the feminine side, and she's holding is the masculine side of sage. So just like the yin and yang, sage has a yin and yang, and you're seeing it both right now.
And this is very easy to grow. You just need a packet of seeds, some soil, a container, and a little bit of TLC. And that's it. All right, so let's talk about Salvia apiana, which is the white sage that MJ is burning. Okay. In 2016, University of Mississippi, they did a study on white sage because they were hearing all about, all the rave about how when you're smudging like MJ just did, how it supposedly clears the air, and it ionizes the air with these negative ions, and all of this talk was going on, right? So the University of Mississippi decided that, this was back in 2016, that they were going to try to prove everybody wrong. Instead, they ended up proving it all right. So all of the hype that you hear about white sage and smudging and all of the things that it does, it really does do that. All right. So, but I also want you to know that that common sage, you might also have it in this form, um, in your pantry, in your spice cabinet. This is the powdered form of the one that I was holding up in the pot, and both of them are really good. They have pretty much the same benefits, except the white sage has a few that the garden sage doesn't, and vice versa. Okay, so and I'm going to go into those a little bit. So the University of Mississippi, they established that there are certain compounds in in the Salvia apiana that get activated, and the way that they work on the brain is actually quite amazing. They said they actually the act the effect that it has on the brain. I might need a little bit right now. Can I get my words out? All right. So they said that activates an area in the brain that's responsible for mood and all of this stuff. So it does help to elevate your mood. It reduces stress, and it even helps to alleviate pain. Right? They're still doing a lot more studies on the pain part. It doesn't like completely take it away, but it does tend to minimize it. And they're showing that the Salvia apiana, or white sage, it does have purifying properties. It's antimicrobial, it's antiviral, and these are also studies done by the Journal of Food Medicine. So you can actually go and do some research, and you will find all of those studies that have been done on the Salvia apiana. If you hear me, white sage, Salvia apiana is the same thing. I just like to say the Latin word so you hear the slight difference in the types of sage, because the white sage is Salvia apiana, the common garden sage is Salvia officinalis, right? So the only thing that changes is the second part of the name. The Salvia is just means sage, and the Salvia actually means, that word actually comes from a Latin word that means healing. So you know that all of the salvias that you find, and there are many, like I mentioned, they all have different healing properties. Okay, there are some. No, let me just go on, because there there's so many of them, and you might not necessarily find all of them growing in your area, because there's the continent of Europe, and there's certain um, that are kind of native to that area. Then you have the Salvia apiana. Where exactly is that native to? I want to say California, or the um, right.
That area over there. Yep.
Okay.
The mountains that way. Hmm.
And but the Salvia officinalis, pretty much anybody can grow that, because that is like a very, very common one that you'll find all over the place. All right. But
Yep.
for right now, I'm going to focus on the Salvia apiana. And if there are common properties, I'm going to say both of them, right? I'm going to say that both of the Salvia apiana as well as the officinalis, both have these properties. All right, so the Salvia apiana is believed to release when you smudge, like MJ was doing when you burn it. And let's explain that in for a moment, and you might
I
do a
was
better
going to
job
do it.
explaining
Yeah, I'm going to do that whole thing when we get to
it.
my
Okay,
part. So keep going and I'll
right.
explain that whole thing when we get to my part. All right.
Okay, because there. I know that a lot of people who come on and watch don't necessarily understand that whole term smudging, and we use it. So I want to make sure
I
that
say
that
plant.
does get explained.
Yeah, smudging is kind of a term that's Native American. I try to stay away
Right.
from the smudging and I try to use plant medicine because it is plant medicine. And that way it's basic, it's everything. And it's what we do.
Right.
We drink the herbs, we drink plant medicine. So it's all the same. All right. But yeah, I'll
Exactly.
go with after. So,
Okay. Okay. Good. I know you would. I know you would. Heather is here. I'm sorry. Did see your comment earlier. Just want to say hi.
hey,
Um.
Heather.
Okay. So it is believed to release negative ions, like I mentioned earlier, that are supposed to neutralize the positive ions that exist in the air. And the positive ions are things like mold, pet dander. So if you have any issues like asthma or allergies and bronchitis, the Salvia apiana, when you burn it, actually does help. The only caveat with that I would like to say is, if you do have issues with bronchitis or asthma, don't stay in the room as it is burning, as you're burning the sage. Light it, let the smoke fill the room, and try to have somewhere, a window or something opened, that the excess can
Always
kind
should
of,
be open.
be removed, and then you come back into the room after the smoke is cleared. Because if you're in the room and the room is filling with smoke and you have asthma or bronchitis, you're just kind of making your problem worse, because it will end up
Absolutely.
irritating you. Okay, but aside from that, burning the sage does actually help to relieve asthmatic issues and bronchitis problems as well, as long as you follow the guidelines, follow those protocols. It is a spiritual tool, the sage, the Salvia apiana. Actually, the other type, Salvia officinalis, is also worked with as a spiritual tool as well. Not too many people really know that because the focus has always been on the Salvia Officinalis or the white sage, right? So, but it is considered to be a spiritual tool used in that practice called smudging, which MJ will discuss a little bit later on. Now, the one thing I wanted to mention, both this, practically all the salvias, all the different types of sage, have this compound in there called thujone, which can be irritating. Can it can be toxic, but you have to drink a lot of sage tea or burn a lot of sage and literally like stay in the room and fill your lungs with way too much in order to get sick from that compound. But I do have to mention it does have thujone. It's kind of like I grew up in the Caribbean where we eat cassava. I guess most the Latin American community calls it yuca, right? Yuca has cyanide naturally occurring in it, but we know how to cook it. It's the same thing with chaya. What's it? The Mayan tree spinach. I think it's called chaya spinach. That is loaded with cyanide as well. But when you know how to cook it properly, it's not going to affect you, right? So it's the same thing with the sage. That thujone in there, you have to ingest a ton of sage in order to be affected by it. But it is a compound that is present in sage, and when you go and do your research on it, you will find that it comes up in a lot of the research saying that sage can be toxic. But again, I'm going to tell you, you got to take a lot of sage in order to really get sick from the thujone.
And
All right.
technically, everything's toxic. Everything in the world is
Exactly.
toxic. Okay,
Exactly.
so
And anything can be, too much of a good thing. Yes, can be bad. Right. Okay. So another study also shows that when you burn sage, or you drink the tea, or however you work with it, it does help your mindset. It helps kind of shift your mindset. Most people work with the white sage in ritual um, to kind of help us heal from trauma and among other things, or removing negative energy. But if you were to just drink the tea itself, and also, the reason why we're doing these tea talks is because we want you to create ceremony. We want you to create ritual out of when you're drinking tea, not just to mindlessly pour some hot water over something and drink it. We want you to create ritual, a beautiful ceremony out of it. So it does help with shifting mindset and helping you to heal from trauma. Another thing it does, here's one way that I also work with sage, the Salvia Officinalis, is when I go to thrift stores. And I'm mentioning this because I don't know if MJ, are you aware that there's a new movie out called Incantation? I
I
don't know if
heard
you
of it, but I don't know much about it. I was like,
Okay,
what is
so
it?
I'm gonna digress for a minute here. Kind of work with me here. I put it on last night. It was on Netflix because my son mentioned it to me. He sent me a link, and I said, okay, let me go check it out because I don't mind watching horror movies. They don't bother me. They just don't affect me. I put this one on, and the very first 30 seconds, there's a sigil, and we can kind of explain what that is. But its sigil is just like a symbol. And then it tells you to focus on the symbol and memorize it. And then once you got it memorized, they start speaking something in a foreign language. And as soon as I heard that, I immediately turned it off. Immediately. And I told my son, I said, I don't think it's a movie that you should be watching, right? Because of the way, number one, we don't know what the sigil means, and we don't know what the language is that they're speaking, and the power of words, yada, yada, yada. You get the drift. Well, it's the same thing when it comes to, those words they impact your body. So when you go to thrift stores, let's go to thrift stores. I love a thrift store. I love thrifting. So you go to thrift stores and you find this item, and keep in mind this item has been, had many different owners, and not every owner is going to be into the things that we're into, right, MJ? So they're not aware of when you buy an item from a thrift store, things could get attached to those items. So you bring it home, and guess what? You bring stuff into your home. So one of the ways that we work with the white sage is we smudge the items to release whatever negative energy might be attached to the
Oh,
item.
you really digress. You went on a part. I'm like, where's she going with this?
Yes,
I'm like, where are you going?
and
Okay.
also when you're after watching that, I mean, it literally was like 30 seconds, and I went in, no, I know I don't want to watch this movie, and I just turned it off. You grab the sage, and for me it was a spray, and I was like, oh, yep, whatever, I just, you block it. So it can be not only worked with on releasing negative energies from things, but also smudging your body as well, whatever, like those words. And I'm sure MJ is going to explain it in a lot more detail, better than I could. Like I said, I'm the herbalist. I can tell you all of the deets about this stuff. MJ is going to tell you all of the magical stuff, right? Okay, so that's another way that we work with it. Burning the sage, or the white sage, also helps with anxiety, and it also helps with depression. But it's not just the white sage. Working with the garden sage, like that little one that you get in, powdered like this. Also, the one I showed you in the pot, that also helps with anxiety as well as depression. So both of those particular plants do help with that. Both types also help with improving sleep. So if you're having an issue with insomnia, burning a little bit of either the white sage or the garden sage does help with the sleeplessness, and it kind of helps you, um, you know, kind of relax a little bit before you go off to dreamland. Right. So I mentioned earlier that salvia, sage, the genus salvia has, all of these different natural compounds, several compounds that tend to enhance your cognitive activity, as well as protect against neurodegenerative illnesses, whatever those might be. And they've been proven to exist in the genus Salvia, not just Salvia apiana or Salvia officinalis. Okay, it's just that genus Salvia, so it's all in there. It does help with memory, helps with reasoning, problem solving, all of those things. So there are different types. I want to mention 4 or 5 different types of the salvia. The Salvia officinalis, which I mentioned, the common garden sage. There's a salvia, um, I think it's called Salvia militarica, which is a Chinese sage. Salvia lavandulifolia, which is the Mexican sage. There's Salvia fruticose, which is Greek sage. And then there's Salvia hispanica, which is also called chia. Okay, chia sage. So those are 5 that you would most likely know about, but there's like hundreds of them, hundreds of salvia. And I mentioned that it does come from the word, salvia comes from the Latin word which means to heal. Traditionally, it was used for digestive issues, circulation, bronchitis, coughs, and you can find these studies, lots of studies have been done surrounding those particular concerns. It does help to boost energy level, and it's said to be, if you're releasing negative, negative energies, it's making you lighter, it's making the area lighter, so it is going to help by boosting your energy in that way. There's again, I'm going to let MJ kind of dive more into that, but it has been shown to boost energy on even a physical level if you're drinking the sage tea. All right, let me see what else. The last one I have here for the white sage is, it just smells amazing. Actually, both of them do. One of the things I love to do, if you're at Thanksgiving, most people use the garden sage for um, making the stuffing as well as seasoning the turkey. One of the things I love to do this is just a common garden sage, and to me, this just smells incredible. There's just what you could have your, I don't know. I've gotten to a point now where I guess with most of these herbs, I can close my eyes and smell things, and I can tell you what they are. But sage has such a distinct aroma. There's no mistaking it. No mistaking it at all. So it's just really just smells good. And just by smelling it alone just kind of helps to boost your mood. So that is what I have for the white sage, but of course some of them were also connected with the garden sage as well. And I do want to point out that there are a couple of other types which are they're sages, but they don't have the salvia in the name. For example, there's white prairie sage, which most people may not be familiar with. That is an Artemisia, Artemisia ludoviciana. And then there's another Artemisia, which most people are familiar with, um, Mugwort, which is Artemisia vulgaris. Both types of sage, but are on the Artemisia genus side. So MJ, I'm going to let you talk about the
It's
white
funny you
sage.
said mudwort. Yeah. Well, you're talking about the both separate. You kind of
Yes,
separate,
but
but you really
there
can't.
are a few things I want to say about the sage the officinalis one separately. So talk a little bit
That's
about
fine.
that because I've
Okay.
been talking, for a bit. So talk
So
a little bit about the
let's go into
magical
sage,
side.
and I understand she's breaking them down by there is sage garden. Now the sage garden color is a darker green, whereas the white salvia is whitish, as you can see here. It is like a white sage. Now the only difference I want to tell you, the only difference in these two plants is that this plant, the plant she holds right there, the plant, which is beautiful, will helps with if you have bacterial infections, any infection in your body. It helps release negativity. The plant that she's holding right there, it is associate. Oh, we're talking about the white sage, you said, right?
You're talking about the white
Okay,
sage. This is
sorry.
a
Back up.
garden
Okay,
sage.
back up. Let me reverse. Sorry. So the white sage that I'm holding right now is feminine. It's connected with Venus and it's connected with the earth. This is a purification stone. This herb goes way back in time. Okay, this is made for exorcisms. This is made for releasing and purification of all sorts of evil. Okay, this is for releasing of energetic blockages. This is for releasing your mind of anxiety and stress that builds up in the course of a day. So, say, how do you use sage? I'm going to go about how I use sage. Sage is used spiritually in ritual. What it does, it blesses and clears your home. And that's what you want. You always want to clear if you feel like your mind is going a little chaotic and a little shattered, and you're like, why can't I? You need to clear your mind. How do you do that? With sage. White sage is it's a purifier. It takes out negativity. Now, when back in the day, it's used in exorcism. It removes nasty energies. I'm going to say energies from your home, from your body, from yourself. It actually removes negative thoughts from yourself, because sometimes we judge ourselves so harshly. So sage is one of them that it purifies. It brings in good wishes. All right. It takes away bad luck. And it's beautiful. This plant right here is the ultimate plant in the spiritual world, because this is used in everything. And I know for me, there's an understanding of that it comes from the Native American culture, and it's here, and they call it smudging. Yes, smudging, the terminology smudging is from a Native American culture. But plant medicine, this is what I call it is plant medicine. Plant medicine is grown all around the world, and it's how you burn it and what it's for that's important. Now, if you're connecting with me, I connect with goddesses and goddesses. Let's go to Mama Gaia. Okay, she is the ultimate goddess. She is Mother Earth in itself. She created this plant so that we can release negative energies. She created this plant so that we can heal ourselves when we have bacteria and colds and infection, because you can burn some of this when you're not feeling well. How many people bought a whole bunch of sage when COVID first started? They were like, oh my God, I got to go clean my house, because it's the not only is it a natural clearer, it's also a spiritual clearer. It clears you from your own negativity, from going out there and somebody look at her, thinks she's looking good, from your boss screaming at you. It clears your daily life activities. It brings you back into balance. It helps your chakras. Chakras are your energy points in your body. It helps refresh your energy point. It helps you focus your mind and clear yourself. So when is the last time that you took a piece of this beautiful sage and then clear your black? This white sage is good for clearing everything, clearing your home, clearing your crystals. If you're a crystal fan and you love crystals, how do I clear my crystals? Anything you bring in. What Gina was talking about when you're going into the antique site, that's called it's photometrics. So what it is it's an ability. I have that ability where I can go in and I can feel the energy of where it was from, and I can feel the energy of that's still stuck in these pieces. Now, if you take some of these pieces home and you see all these horror movies that are based on true story, it's because energy is real and energy gets stuck. And see, take away all the horror flicks in Hollywood. It's as simple as like, oh, really? You in my house? How about I just light this up right here and say, thank you, Archangel Michael, from coming and clearing my home of anything that doesn't serve my highest good. Open all your windows, open your doors, and let it go out. That's how simple this is. This is a blessing in itself, and I think everyone should have some in your car. Say you're having an argument with somebody and you feel really heated and overwhelmed, light some sage. It'll put you back in balance. You'll feel better. And like breathing it in is amazing, even if you have asthma, like Gina said. But if it's really harsh, leave the room, let someone else light the room, and then come into it. You're going to see that it actually helps your lungs feel better. So for me, white sage is it's like life itself for me. I'm sorry. White sage for me is like life itself. We should not be living without it. You should be clearing your energy with it 3 to 4 times a day, because you're especially, and if you work with people and you're like sales and someone that's always in front with people, you always want to clear your energy. And for me, this is either could be black kyanite or black obsidian, because it's a purifier. This clears the negativity from yourself and from others. And that is what white sage does. White sage is a spiritual herb and this sage, I want you to know, this white sage, I get it from an organic farm. I buy it from a very special, I order it online from a very special shop who I love, and she gets it organically. It's organically grown. So this white sage that is organically grown and not used with pesticides, I put in my tea. I eat it. I put it in my shakes in the morning. This one, not the ones that you buy that's been sitting on a shelf for 100 years and they have pretty colors on that. You cannot eat that one. But this natural one, if you get organic white sage, you could literally eat it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is what I have for you for white sage. And for me, like I said, as a crystal, white sage in itself is a purifier. It's a connector. It's everything. This is the ultimate purifier right here. These crystals right here, there are 3. There are 3 crystals in the world: black tourmaline, black obsidian, and black kyanite. Right here, this is the powerhouse. There is nothing more powerful than this right here. This is the same thing with this one sage. This one sage is as powerful as all these 3 crystals in my hands. And that's why I put them together so you can see. So this is how important and how amazing this one piece of sage is. Okay, and this is sage. And this one is mugwort. Just because you said it, I want you to know mugwort is a type of sage. And let me tell you, with the mugwort, and side note, just like Nina, mugwort is very good spiritually when you want to call in spirits. So this is when you want to open a circle. You want to call in the gods and the goddesses. You want them to come visit you. So white sage is no.
Right.
I don't want no visitors. Go away. Leave me alone. White sage is no. Not in my house. Not today, Satan. I'm not having you. That is white sage. Which then some people may say, oh, Satan, today's our day. Are we going to hang out? Let's hang out together. Let's call him in. And that's what you do with mugwort. Mugwort calls in the energies so that way you can work with. And
Yeah.
that's what I have for you for white sage.
Yep. And that's kind of the, again, that yin and yang of the, two different sages right there. Right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for mentioning it, though. Really great to know for people to know that.
So I'm drinking, this is a sage tea. This has about 5 leaves of, and this is just common garden sage, but you can also make tea from the white sage as well. Now, before we move on, can you talk a little bit about, I know that there's some controversy surrounding white sage and not just the fact that, the smudging started with the Native Americans, but just about maybe using too much and it going,
Well,
not necessarily endangered. That's the word I'm trying to come up with. Is
okay.
Yeah.
That is like a faux pas that people putting out there with the whole, this is our word terminology you can't use. I'm going to tell you what I got, and I got this straight from Mama, the mouth of Mama Gaia. I journey a lot. I work with the gods and goddesses. I opened up this mugwort and I call them in, and I sit and I listen. And her message was, this plant is not owned by anyone. It is plant medicine. So I will not get stuck on somebody's words. The Native Americans use the word smudging, so it is their word. Honor them on them and be respectful of them. And they use it in rituals, and I honor and respect them. But I as well have been guided by my guides to use it in my own sense and grow my own and enjoy my own with love and respect. Or if I can't grow it, like right now I can't grow it, I order it from organic places that do not overuse and process it. So I ask you, if you feel a certain way about, oh my God, I need to save the world, beautiful, beautiful. I love you even more. Go get it from an organic place that's taking really good care. But this is something that is out there, that is wild, and people are growing it with a lot of love. Go get those people. Go share them. Share love, share space with them. You know what? Exchange gifts and purchase from them. You know what I'm saying? Because that is something beautiful that they're doing. And it's just like the same thing with the Palo Santo. Oh my God. People, the Palo Santo, Dios mío, the trees. Stop. Once
Yeah.
again, you read one story on the internet and then everybody goes on. Yes, yes, there is some stuff going on. Yes, I do respect that. But once again, if you purchase, if you do your homework and say, okay, I'm going to spend $1 more so I can get it from the right people and the right place, then I'm going to do that. Because what you're doing by saying don't buy it from anybody, so that small farm guy that all he does is sell the Palo Santo from his tree that falls down and is doing the right thing is going to suffer because you're putting him in a mass. We don't want to do that. You just want to do your research and make sure you're getting. It's just like when you buy clothes, right? You buy clothes, so I'm going to go to Macy's or I'm going to go to the Walmart. That's a big difference for you. Where is your quality in life? All right. If you don't care, I'm going to go to Walmart. Para carajo, this is all I could afford. But if you are someone of like, I want better quality because what was it? There was a saying out there, you buy quality, you buy once, buy cheap, you buy twice. So in some sense of that, you're buying quality stuff. So if you're so concerned, it's not about, oh my God, spreading the rumors. It's like, yeah, I participate in buying quality stuff from quality people. So yes, my sage is bought from organic farms and organic Palo Santo from places that are meant to sell it, mom and pop shops. And look for mom and pop shops, people that are going out there and digging in the dirt and really making this good for you. And they're out there. Let me tell you, they're out there and they need people like us. So I ask you, stop listening to all the stories. Over you listen to one, so oh my God, and like this person on the internet said. So seriously, do the real research, and you'll realize that there are a lot of people out there that do it organically, and this is what they do for a living, and they could really use your business right now. All right, so that's what I have to say about that whole topic. With no disrespect to anyone's culture, I think times have changed now. I think we're all into more ritual. I'm more, and I just know that in my lifetimes, and I've lived many lifetimes, I've always had sage. It has never been. So it's always been a part of me. So for someone to say that they own it, They may own a word and how they do certain things, but the actual plant was made for us all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the black kyanite. Just, black kyanite for me, every time I look at it, it reminds me of a little broom. So my visual for sage is black kyanite, because whenever I burn the sage, I visualize that smoke kind of turning into a broom and sweeping everything out. So sage for me, the crystal version, is black kyanite, because just simply because of that broom, visual.
Beautiful. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So a couple of things related to the common sage. All right. This is your Salvia officinalis, your common sage or your common garden sage, however you want to call it. That's the one that you might find in your kitchen, your spice cabinet, the one that you might have growing, unless you have the white sage growing as well. I opened this now. Okay, there we go. But if you don't have white sage, you certainly can work with your common garden sage, drying it out. If you're going to burn it, you definitely would want to dry it out much better. Or you can simply drink it as a tea, like I'm doing. It's various ways of working with it, right? You can also, one of the things you can do is you can simply put some onto the stove, simmer it down. If you're using the fresh, simmer it down into some water, let it cool, and you can use that as a spray as well. You can also use the sage essential oil and create a spray from that if you're not allowed to burn things in your home or your abode, right? So there's several different ways that you can work with
Or you could burn it on charcoal if you can burn, and you could burn it just dry, which, as she said, dry it. And
Mhm.
say you don't want, you just want to put it like that. Get a little charcoal disc and put it on and burn it just like that.
Yeah. And you find charcoal discs in little rolls. I think they come with 8 of them in there. And I like to break up the charcoal into halves or quarters depending on how much I'm burning. So because
I
one
get
charcoal.
mini ones. I have found some mini ones, and I love the mini ones
Oh,
because you just boop mini ones up. They're like ones for the I buy the ones for the oh my god, you see me putting my hands in my face. It's the hookah. The hookah.
okay,
The
yeah, yeah, yes,
hookah.
yes.
They have tiny ones for the hookah,
I
mini ones.
I
Those
did
are the
not
ones
know.
I use, and it
Mhm.
burns fast. And it's like, for me, I call it the personal size one. So they're little hookah
Okay.
discs. So and they cost just the same, and you get the whole roll, and they're smaller, and you'll boop, and there you go.
Oh, thank you for telling me. I had no idea.
You're
All
welcome.
right, so I kind of want to do a little bit of a comparison between a medication that's out there and sage, right? And we're talking about your common garden sage. There is a cream that you can make from sage. If you combine sage and rhubarb together, make a cream from it that is great for cold sores, and it is just as effective, if not more effective, than a particular um, medicine out there that begins with the letter Z and ends with X. Okay, it's called Zorivax, I believe it's what it's called, Zorivax. And the combination of sage and rhubarb has been proven to be even more effective, or just as effective as that particular medicine. So I just want to give you some, and that's for cold sores. There's also a particular medicine out there that's really good for high cholesterol. However, taking a capsule, those gel capsules, filling it with your powdered garden sage, taking one capsule 3 times a day for 2 months is proven to be more effective than that other medication for high cholesterol. Also, for memory, there's studies that have been done that show that taking just one capsule, not one capsule 3 times a day, just one capsule of the powder of the garden sage helps to improve memory. And there are tests that were done right after, allowing the sage to take effect. Tests that were done right after that actually showed that it improves memory very, very quickly. This is mostly for women. This other one, when it comes to menopausal issues, there's an extract of common garden sage. If you take an extract of it for about 8 weeks, it's shown to decrease any kind of menopausal symptoms that you may having, such as hot flashes, night sweats. Also, it showed that the common garden sage reduces your chances of developing lung cancer by 54%. Studies are out there. 54%. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. And again, I also mentioned sore throat. You can make a spray from the, or you can take the tea, the sage tea, take the spray and just spray it into the back of your throat. Helps with sore throat, tonsillitis. And then actually, I think this is something you can find on the market. There's a blend of sage and echinacea, or you can just simply make it yourself. The echinacea is the purple coneflower. You make a tea of the sage and the purple coneflower, and you can use that as a spray as well. Helps with tonsillitis and sore throat. You can use the powder. For one of the things I love to do, I create candles. I dress candles. So I use the powder sage, or I take and I use both, either the white sage or the garden sage, dry it, break it up, put it onto my candles, add some essential oil onto that. Lots of different ways. One of the other things I like to do is taking the pillars, and I wish I had one here, the pillar candles, just the wax candle, and dressing it with the essential oil and then rolling it in some of the powdered sage. So there's so many different ways that we can work with this, either the white sage or your common garden sage. And again, it smells amazing. Whether it's the white sage or the common garden sage, they both absolutely smell amazing. I personally, I don't burn a lot. I tend to burn one leaf at a time. Personal story. Years ago, I was diagnosed with emphysema, which I apparently developed when I was I think it was during my very first near-death experience. My heart stopped, my lungs collapsed, yada yada yada. And in the process of, I guess, trying to bring me back, being on the ventilator, and they did something, and my right lung was severely damaged. So I ended up developing emphysema, which I didn't discover until I think about it was a long time later on that they actually determined the extent of the damage that was done. But I started working with a lot of natural remedies, some essential oils, but sage was also one of them. And then when I was introduced to, I'm going to use that term, to smudging, I do that on a regular basis, and I don't have any, repercussions from it. It actually does help me to breathe better. The moment I light up some sage, my lungs like open. They're like, yes, give me more. I mean, I can literally feel it in my body. So I know
Gina, Gina,
personally
I'm
that
going to say something. I'm going to interrupt you. Also,
yes,
you could actually light it, and when you light it, and if it bothers somebody else, you are actually exercising the energy. Back you, devil, you back. Sage everybody. Don't let everyone
yes,
in your house without. I make it a point of my office. I sage. I'm sorry, you can't come in unless I sage you, because any energy that's on
yes,
them literally jumps off. So literally
yes.
make it a point. Say sorry, you can't come in unless I sage you. Make
I,
it a
I've
point.
seen,
I
I've
love
seen
it.
that somewhere. I've seen a joke. There's a meme going around saying that if my burning of sage bothers you, it means that you're the negative energy that needs to go.
And that's what it is.
Yes,
Because if they start going, oh, I need you to look at them like things that make
yes,
you go, like why are you fidgeting over there? And then you need to
uh-huh,
burn some more.
yes, yes. But you're all joking aside, the sage is amazing. It's amazing. There's so many.
It really
We
is.
hope that we've given you just a couple ways that you can work with it. If you've never worked with sage other than in cooking, yeah,
Yes,
this is
it's really good in
yes,
food too. It tastes really good. I'm
because
adamant about sage. I do love sage, and I do add it into pieces of everything.
mhm,
It's just something you can, but get the organic one. But the white sage, something you should have in your arsenal. If you're not, it's just something you should have. And let me tell you, this is if you go to the church, they burn white sage. They're burning white sage all the time. This
Yeah,
is not something in every religion. There is not one religion that does not
that's true.
burn white sage. So that's how important this one herb is. So if you really think about it, if there's one herb in this entire world that you need, it's this one. So it's white sage, and either you burn it, you spray it, you get it in a cream form, whatever you do, you drink it. This is something that you should absolutely enjoy and should have in your house.
One thing I want to mention, sage is a natural diuretic. So if you're taking, diuretic pills for whatever reason, you do want to be careful with sage because it is a natural diuretic. It is very good for the kidneys, um, very good for your urethra, the bladder, all of that stuff. So but it is a natural diuretic. Kay says, I love the sage spray with crystal infused. Yeah, so a lot of
Yeah.
you can make your own and add some crystal energy into that, kick that up a
Or you
notch,
can buy it. You could buy.
or you can buy.
I bought one from SG, and I'm gonna tell you, the first one I bought was from SG, and that's one that got me. And then I was like, "What?" And it had crystals in it too. I'm like, "Yeah." So and that one that it comes in a little thing, and I spray it. I spray it in the house. I keep it in my bag, and every time I feel, and then I bought another one, which was the rub. It was what was like it was it's back off one. And when I tell you, I've had that one for years. And in the actual gel, it's like a cream. It has,
Mhm.
she put in white, it was, what is it? Black tourmaline, black kyanite. Like, what? And I put that every time you go to the doctor's
Mhm.
office, you're going to speak to somebody official. I'm
Yeah,
always, putting it on. And it's
absolutely.
like, woof, woof, get
Yeah,
that energy circling. So it's something that
and
I
that
believe everyone should have.
yeah, and that's great too because there are ways that you can travel with the stage because you can't always travel with your matches and
Let me
your
see.
little so you got to find ways that you'll be able to travel with it, and the sage spray is a perfect way to do that. The sage cream is also another way that you can do that, and I'm
Yeah,
sure
I'm
that
just,
MJ has another. You have one of
I
those
have,
portable little incense burners, right?
yeah, see, clear it off. I clear it off.
Yes.
This is it. Look at this. And inside it is black, and it is quartz, and it's black tourmaline and jet. Jet is another
Yes.
crystal that is excellent for letting go. And when I tell, oh my God, the smell, like, look, I just want to lift
Yeah.
up and be like, ah. And that's what sage does.
Yes.
One single smell. So no matter where you get it or where you get it from, I got mine from Sage Goddess because I just loved it. And it was like, and I've had this one for years. So no matter, or you can make it. They have so many
Mhm.
recipes. So I make sage sprays. What I do is I go
Yeah.
out and what you can do, I'll give you a real recipe. There's a full moon tomorrow. How about that? Go out in that full moon
Absolutely.
and make some moon water. Come back with that moon water, and now you take some essential oil, uh, white sage, boop, 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 20 drops to that. Add a little crystal here or there. You can add some Palo Santo or some patchouli to give it a little more pop. And there you go.
Hmm.
You just made your soul happiness spray. I know they have one out there that's back up itch or back away, and they have all the smells for it. They have all the things to tell you, but what it is a purifier, plain and simple. It purifies the energy within you and others, in your aura, in all your auric fields, in all your chakras, in all your organs, and everything around you. So it's something that you really should have in your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And on that note,
We did
that
another
is
one. Thank you
that
for this
is
amazing tea talk, Gina.
thank you, thank you. Kay says patchouli and lemon. That's my mix.
There you
Okay.
go. You see, everyone has a different smell, but you put a little something in with sage and
Mhm.
add little your own blend, and you just shake it up. And when I tell you, it is just super amazing. I made an Archangel Michael blend the other day, and it has sage in it. And when I tell you, I love it. So you can make your own blend. Long as the sage is in it, no one needs to know. But guess what? You know you're protected, and that's what it is. So we
Yeah.
are talking a tea talk. Remember, sage is a tea as well, and there's always magic in every cup. So get yourself some sage. Thank you, Gina, for another amazing tea talk.
Thank you too. And this is, if you're not noticing, we are going to your spice cabinet and showing you how to use your spices as magical tools. Okay, so it's
Right.
not just for cooking. There's a whole other side to those things that you add into your food. All right. So thank you again, MJ, and we will see you next week with another exciting. We have no idea what next week is about. We never do until
I don't know. I just show up every day.
I know.
Take care.
Just
All right.
bye, guys.
Bye bye.